I'm visiting Dabton House in Scotland, set within the beautiful Queensberry Estate and the childhood home of the Earl of Dalkeith. And today I'll be chatting with Walter and Elizabeth, the Earl and Countess, to find out more about his childhood memories here, the history of the house and the wider estate, plus there's a Montagu connection, and I'll be spending the night as well. When I married into the British aristocracy, it was the start of a wonderfully exciting journey. But it was also a little daunting. I became a Viscountess, and for an American girl from a small town outside Chicago, that was quite a shock.
I live with my husband Luke, heir to the Earl of Sandwich, and our family at Mapperton House in Dorset.
Living in a place like this is a joy, but also a challenge. And every day we're aware that we're preserving a very special part of Britain's heritage. Mapperton has opened up an extraordinary new world for me, and I can't wait to share it with you all.
So if you love castles and manors and stately homes as much as I do, please join this American Viscountess as I journey into the British countryside in search of some of Britain's finest historic houses. Dabton House is nestled in 27 acres of beautiful landscaped and woodland gardens on the Queensberry Estate in the heart of Dumfries and Galloway in southern Scotland. Dabton was the family home of the 10th Duke and Duchess of Buccleuch and their 4 children. Now, Walter, the Earl of Dalkeith, and his wife Elizabeth have reimagined the interiors of his childhood home to herald a new chapter in Dabton's history. The house and gardens are available for exclusive hire with Stor Collection, and I can't wait to step inside to find out more about this very special historic home.
Hello, Julie, how are you?
So nice to see you.
Oh, so lovely to see you again.
Wow.
Welcome.
And
Welcome.
you brought good weather for me.
Just about.
Thank
I think
you.
it's the first day that we've had, which hasn't been pouring with rain.
Hello. Nice to see you, Elizabeth.
Nice to see you.
So, and thank you for, I'm spending the night.
Yes, I know.
It's so exciting.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you here. Wonderful to have you here.
Listen, it's always nice to see cousins.
Yeah.
I mean, technically we are a cousin.
Yes, I know. Going all the way back to the early 1700s.
I know.
And beyond.
And beyond.
I mean, it's an extraordinary history, and those links sort of running all the way back through British history is incredible.
It's pretty amazing. So Dabton.
Dabton, yes.
Wow. Tell me a little bit about history of the house.
So Dabton was my family home, which my parents created in the sort of 1980s as a family home.
Okay.
But before that, it was this person here, who is Walter Francis, 5th Duke of Buccleuch and 6th Duke of Queensberry,
right,
who commissioned and built Dabton in 1820 for the Chamberlain of the estate, who essentially managed and ran the estates. It remained as the sort of Chamberlain's house until the sort of the mid-1900s, when it then became the estate office. My parents then, in the early 80s, thought
it's a nice family home.
An incredible, wonderful family home. And so we all grew up here, and it's very much sort of my spiritual home over in Dumfriesshire.
It's fantastic. No, it's brilliant. But you've done a lot with the house, because you've obviously, you're not here now.
No.
You've a young couple with a young family, but you've been doing lots to the house, is that right?
Yes, so it was being used increasingly less by Walter's family as they'd all grown up and left home, and it needed work done on it.
Right.
So this seemed a really good opportunity to give it a bit of a refresh, whilst keeping the same kind of spirit of the home that Walter and his siblings love so much. So we undertook a full refurbishment of it, starting a couple of years ago.
Right, okay.
To make it into what it is now.
Oh my goodness. And you both were just so involved in what it is today, is that right?
Well, I think it was really important for us to be involved because of it being a family home.
Yeah.
We wanted it to stay somewhere where all Walters family could come and use it and it still felt like home, as well as being available to other people to come and enjoy as well.
Right.
So in the principal rooms, we kept the same colour schemes, kept the same curtains. They were in excellent condition, having been made, 35, 40 years before, but brilliant quality, so we could keep them all. We kept what we could while bringing it up to date.
Yes.
But respecting the kind of Georgian bones
Yeah.
of the building.
This was my family kind of playroom, and it was called the Blue Room.
And you kept
Lovely
the blue.
place. We've kept-
Kept the blue, that was very important. The blue room must remain the blue room. And actually you'll be able to see in that photograph exactly how the room looked when it was still the blue room with a teeny tiny Walter.
In
So
that
you can
back
spot the
there,
curly
yeah.
hair.
It's brilliant. Oh my goodness.
As we sort of all grew up and sort of got married and sort of moved away, we always sort of still held this as our kind of spiritual home.
Right.
And not only the house, but the whole area around Dumfriesshire, the hills, the rivers, the castles,
Right.
the lochs. It was, huge part of our growing up
Yeah.
was the outdoors.
Ask many, many Americans what their favorite country in the entire world is, and they will say Scotland. You must know that, right? There's just something, it's just magical, and the landscape
Yeah.
and topography are sensational.
I think sadly this corner of Scotland sometimes a little bit overlooked because often people are shooting straight on up to the Highlands. Part of wanting to have more visitors, draw more visitors here, is also to draw more visitors to Dumfriesshire as a whole.
Right.
And really put it a bit more on the map.
When I lived in America, I always dreamed of staying in one of Britain's grand castles and stately homes because this country is brimming with them. There's a treasure trove of rich history, royal connections, and extraordinary stories. And the allure of joining this world was irresistible. So fast forward to today, and I've ended up living in one of these remarkable homes, American House, and filming in some of them as well, like Dabton House. I realize that I've been lucky. However, even if that hadn't happened, I could still have made my dream come true with the help of Stor Collection. And now you can as well. Stor Collection offers exclusive hire of private estates and castles across the United Kingdom and Ireland, where the historical significance and legacy of each property are carefully preserved. And guess what? Mapperton and Dabton House are now officially members of Stor Collection too. The historic houses in Stor Collection have been meticulously selected to provide the highest standards of accommodations and service, as well as unforgettable stories. Moreover, they offer a range of experiences, whether you're an avid fisherman, a golf enthusiast, or simply someone who delights in owner-guided tours. So if you're planning a large family gathering or a thrilling adventure with friends, a retreat with business colleagues, or perhaps your wedding, you can now make it happen in one of these homes, and it's much more affordable than you think. With an extraordinary variety of castles, manors, and stately homes available, this truly is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so don't let it slip away. Mention Julie when booking for £1,000 off any stay of 5 nights or longer. Please click the link in the description down below to discover and book the historic house of your dreams. So I have to ask about the artwork here.
So a lot of these are my artworks. These ones over here was a sort of fascinating little story behind the person who was the original artist. Was a person called George Edwards, who in the 1740s created this volume of books all about creatures and animals and birds who had never been drawn. And so I photographed all the animals and have reimagined them. So I created a kind of a series.
So a lot of thought has
Yes.
really gone into this. And this is just room one. I can't wait to see the other rooms. But tell me a little bit about photographs as well. They're stunning.
There's this pass called the Dalkeith Pass, which sort of takes you up through the hills. That is a set of the hills there, and it's sort of this beautiful kind of landscape, very moody, very sort of low clouds and sort of the rain, and you can feel the sort of the cold almost. That's up at a place called Loch Skeen, and there's this wonderful waterfall called the Grey Mare's Tail. which if you can climb all the way to the top of it, there's this sort of hidden loch right on the kind of top of the hills. And you suddenly realise when you're in the middle of nowhere and about
Wide
-1 or -2,
Yeah.
and it starts snowing and you've got a huge waterfall which you might fall down, you suddenly get a little bit nervous. Yeah, so I took that photo and then quickly sort of ran back down before all my paths were sort of covered by snow. And but
well done. But you've got the shot. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's stunning, stunning.
Well, would you like to come and have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and then
that would be fantastic.
We'll take you through to the drawing room.
Fantastic. What a room.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
So this was the formal drawing room.
Then the curtains wise.
Again, the same curtains.
Wow.
There used to be a very elaborate pelmet, and actually taking that away makes it feel a bit more contemporary. But in terms of the colour schemes, it was all pinks and blues here, so we've stuck to that.
This was always the kind of Christmas room. So we had a big Christmas tree behind us. Very strangely, we always spray painted white. An odd tradition. It was always very important to have proper candles as well.
Yes.
And
so English, I love it. and Scottish, I'm sure.
So unbelievably dangerous and flammable. So as children, you with a spray painted sort of petrol Christmas tree, you then cover with candles. And it was the children's job to run around the tree and spot the candles, which were sort of getting to within like 2 millimeters of the of the branches, and sort of put them out. So that was
goodness.
So this
It's
is
not
very
a
much
tradition.
a
We've continued in our household.
Absolutely not. So that stopped. So you've just got a lovely photo in there, and you've got some good memories. What was the point that you both sat down and thought, right, let's create this into something that others can enjoy?
The reality is that after sort of 40 years of after it had sort of last been renovated, that something needed to be done to rejuvenate it and bring it sort of back to life again. That's where we started to come up with the idea of refurbishing it so that others could then also come and use it. It was part of our kind of wider desire around the estate to diversify and to start to try and grow the hospitality and sort of tourism. It really gave us that sort of opportunity to create something really exciting and amazing for people to come and experience, just like I had done and the family had done growing up here.
When the two of you decided, right, we're going to do this together, were you nervous? You're like, I'm going to actually do this all on my own, and because you're also a young mother, you're young parents. I mean, where did you find the time?
I was nervous in terms of it was important to me that Walter's family didn't feel like we were sort of riding roughshod over their childhood memories.
Right.
But at the same time, it's an exciting project. It's something completely different from me. I have no professional experience, and it's always good to broaden your repertoire.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the furniture, especially the brown furniture, was part of the Dabton fabric. Piano there is the piano which we had here is all throughout my childhood.
Right.
And we felt it was really important not only to reuse things. There's no point sort of wasting this wonderful furniture, which some of it would have been sort of made 100 years ago or 150 years ago, and it was made with absolute sort of amazing craftsmanship, and they were built to last, and so why change it? Being able to bring those elements of the old, but then also have a contemporary approach, I think sort of works really beautifully in a house like this, because it sort of respects the history, but is also sort of modern and fresh and forward-thinking.
Yeah.
When you're looking at a room, if you work out what you want to keep from the room, again, that gives you structure for what you can bring in. But again, it's just feeling your way along and slightly hoping for the best. And also remembering that, a colour is a colour, it's a lick of paint, and if it's a disaster, you can do another lick of paint, and not getting too het up about it.
And did you ever have that moment when it went on the wall and you were like, oh, or did you feel pretty confident because you'd spent a lot of time sort of doing the work for the research?
I didn't see quite a lot of the decoration period because that coincided exactly when I had a baby. And I'm not sure the contractors would have been delighted about having a newborn on site. The first time I came, when more of the bedrooms had been painted, I was a bit nervous because some of the colours are a little bit punchy, and maybe if I had my time again I might not have done them. But at the same time, actually I'm really pleased with how it all came out, and sometimes you have to be a bit bold. Because I think also when people are coming to stay somewhere, they want something a bit different to what's in their home. So they might not necessarily want to live every day with bold colours on their wall, but actually for a few nights or a week it's quite nice to have something different.
Yeah. When did you sort of open it up for exclusive hire? It's recently, is that right?
It is. It was just about a year ago.
We came with your two sisters and their families as the first guests at, when was it? It was the end of July. And you know, the morning before your family arrived, we were running around desperately hanging pictures and the house was,
things up.
the house was still full of people like getting last bits of carpet down, which was because, as you know, any building project runs over.
Yes, way over, yep.
So it was unfortunate it wasn't quite finished, but so we were the first people in.
As it's, you know, the first time we've done something like this, you open up the doors and you. There's a slight degree of sort of nervousness about sort of how people will react to it.
Yeah.
We've been amazed about the kind of the comments which have come back, which have all been sort of wonderful.
And I think that's the real difference here, as opposed to something that's just primarily and really only as, you know, exclusive hire, and that's it, and the family never comes back and they don't touch it again. You're here with me today. You've stayed before, you know, sort of it opened, you come back. You know, I've only seen 2 rooms, but the thought that has gone into this is to make sure that it's been sympathetically done, furnished, and still has that feeling of a family home. And that's what's wonderful, because it doesn't, a lot of times you can go into places and it's very stark and it doesn't have that sort of touch.
Yeah.
And right away, I'm in room 2, and I feel like I'm in your home. That's what's so brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we really do still use it as a home. We were here a few months ago with a number of other families. I think we had, I don't know, something like 14 children. Really put the house through its paces. But it was great because it felt like what it should be, which is a house full of families and children.
Well, I can't wait to do a whole tour, especially because I think you mentioned that there's 11 bedrooms.
Yes.
Is that right? And one of them is named Montagu?
Yes. Yes. It is, yeah.
So tell me about naming the rooms.
Being able to tie the house back to the family and its history was a really important statement from us to try and sort of make sure that Dabton does retain that kind of family feel. Come on through, I'm going to show you the dining room. Incredible painted walls. There was a tradition back in the sort of the mid-1800s. You would import these sort of extraordinary rolls of Chinese wallpaper, which were all hand-painted. We're very lucky at Bow Hill to have a room called the Boudoir, which has this extraordinary wallpaper, which my father would have grown up around.
Right.
And so I think he sort of took that inspiration and wanted to create something here with my mother, and so they found this wonderful artist. He's a relation called Maggie Scott, who's sort of local to here, and over the course of I think it was a summer.
Right. It's pretty impressive in the summer.
Various sort of friends sort of came and helped sort of draw and create it. Wow. There's the R and the E, mother and father,
yes.
Richard and Elizabeth. My grandmother grew up in Shanghai, and so there was always this
and this is your
real
father's
interest, my
mother,
father's mother.
Right.
And so they've always had this fascination with China, and so this room was kind of part of that sort of oriental feel, which they're very, very close to.
When was this painted roughly?
1982.
Right. You didn't have to do any restoration or anything around it, because it looks in such great condition.
There was a tiny bit of touching up because there had been a spot of damp, I think, over in that corner.
Right.
So we had a specialist in to come and do it, because obviously it was really important that we did a good job. But apart from that, no. And so it's really retained its vibrant colours amazingly well.
Yeah,
it looks like it could have been painted yesterday.
Yeah. And I was just eyeing this. This has just caught my eye. There's also wonderful butterflies.
10 points if you can find the butterfly that hasn't been painted. It'll take too long, I'll show you.
Okay, show me. Oh my gosh.
If you look right up here.
Oh, yes!
I don't know whether it just slipped through the net or Maggie had just had enough and it would be the butterfly that broke the camel's back.
Oh my goodness. Or she sort of left it for
someone else
to find and then have a story around it. How brilliant is that?
All around the house are references to family history, and there's one room in particular which Walter happily remembers from his childhood.
So this was the family corridor in the house, so where my bedroom and my siblings' bedroom were, and there was a little sort of children's nursery and kitchen up here. But this was my old bedroom.
Oh my goodness. What does it feel like when you walk in here?
All good memories, I can imagine all the mess, basically. You know, toys everywhere and mess. But that was my old chest of drawers.
Oh wow!
And I always loved the tiles which were on the fireplace, on their horses getting thrown about.
And I love it. It's sort of, it describes it as well. Grief over wire. A stern chase. How fantastic. Well, Elizabeth has done, once again, a fantastic job
Very
here.
cozy.
And the color scheme works beautifully with a very special painting above the fireplace by Walter's grandfather, John, the 9th Duke of Buccleuch.
He was a wonderful artist. And this particular one is up at a place called Morton Castle and has this sort of beautiful loch. He used to sometimes sort of make a little painting and then put it in a very grand frame. And then would sort of put it sort of next to an old master or such, and just sort of see sort of when people were walking around the houses to sort of see their reaction when they sort of peered in to look.
It's wonderful, but it's I mean, fantastic that you have works of art around the house that are not just obviously yours, but they're family. They're yours. Photography, what you're creating as well, especially in that family room. But then also you have your grandfather here as well. So that's what's
and my sister as well.
Brilliant. That the art is just dotted around your sister, your grandfather, yours as well.
And it makes it sort of becomes a really big sort of part of the house.
It does, and it's the stories. You know, just
stories and
here being able to share that story. In your bedroom.
In my bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. And what's the name of this bedroom?
This is the Dalkeith room.
Keeping it easy and keeping it in the family. Perfect. Well, thanks, Walter. What a treat.
Dabton House was designed by William Atkinson in 1820. However, its roots can be traced back centuries. I met up with Professor David Munro, who researches in the archives of nearby Drumlanrig Castle, and who kindly brought over some plans which show the evolution of Dabton.
Hello. I was told I could find you here. I'm Julie.
And I'm David.
Nice to meet you. Wow. Well, you have wonderful things to look at here. I love archives, so I'm already excited, and I don't even know what they are.
What I've done is I've taken about 7 plans here from the archive at Drumlanrig Castle, and they all highlight Dabton in a changing landscape. This is part of an atlas that was being produced by a Dutch publisher called Buccleuch. First of all, the name Dabton or Dobton here.
Yes.
Ton we know is the Old English for a township.
Township, yes.
And as we'll see with the next plan, this is exactly what it is. It's a farming township.
So we know that 16th century, something was here.
It's a dot on the map here.
Yep.
And what we want to do next is to look exactly what did Dabton look like. And here we are in the 1740s, 1742 precisely.
Okay.
And what we're looking at down here, there's well over a dozen cottages here.
Oh.
And if you look at the documents and the footnotes to this map, it tells you that here we have what they call a multiple tenancy farm tune. So there was somebody who was a senior tenant, and he had under him several what we might call smaller tenancies.
Okay.
We move on to later in the century to the 1770s. In fact, 1772, a small atlas here. It's one of 4 volumes.
Okay.
And here is the farm of Dabton, which is so different from the 1742 plan. And you can tell that this is not improved at all. That indicates it's being ploughed.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looks very ploughed.
There are no enclosures.
No.
And it's very crudely drawn. This is essentially Dabton on the eve of improvement. If we want to see what's happened by 1820,
Yes.
we have to go to another land surveyor.
Because that's when the changes start to happen, is that
Yes.
correct? Whoa.
This is a quite sizable map, very colourful. It looks, I think it looks glorious, but it tells you that improvement has already started. And there's Dabton.
There's Dabton.
So we're seeing enclosure here.
Yes, and then they're starting to name it.
And we've got some kind of a house here. So there's a garden, there's a rickle of buildings. Difficult to make out exactly what they're all about, but we can see that improvement has started.
Yes.
But the estate has something more in mind, rather than just improving it for a tenant farmer to occupy and cultivate. And we end up here at Dabton, where they want to turn the farmsteading into the home and the base for the Chamberlain of the Queensberry Estate. A sequence of 4 buildings, which you can see today.
Yeah, absolutely you can.
Yeah.
You can see the sequence.
And it's a hierarchy of occupation.
Ah.
Here at the far west, that is the home of the Chamberlain.
Okay.
That's where he lived. And then next door you have the office of the estate.
Right here.
Where the business was transacted.
Okay,
And
where the tenants would come in and
would come
complain.
in and they would sit and wait to be called in here. And what have we here? This is an additional segment of the hierarchy. And this is where the servants would stay, who were involved in really working on the buildings, serving the tea in the morning and all that.
Exactly, and then you can see down here, it says, so the servant's room, so this is just down below.
What it looked like inside
Yes.
is represented by this plan, the rooms or chambers as they were called at Dabton in some detail.
You can see that some of the rooms are named. So you've got nursery here. I think that's
There's a lot of detail. But this is the beginning of more detailed plans of the interior of the buildings and the courtyard as well, with its stables and with its dairy and kennels and so on.
absolutely fascinating. It's incredible just to see the detail that went into these.
1820s is crucial, and you get the creation of this very fine building, which has a function, an important function in the management of the estate.
Yes.
So I think we need to close up by looking at a more detailed plan of Dabton, the very last drawn and sculpted by a professional land surveyor. Here we are, 1851, Queensberry Estate, the 4th division. The estate was divided up into 6 divisions, and it's absolutely stunning, the Victorian style that just leaps out at you.
Yeah, plans.
And this work is being carried out by an Edinburgh firm of civil engineers, McCallum and Dundas Civil Engineers, 1851.
Right.
If we open it up to get a closer look at Dabton, here we are. There are several farms on this particular plan, as you can see in the title. And here, right in the middle, is Dabton.
Yes.
And immediately you can see
the house.
The house with the 4 segments to it. And then beyond that, you've got the courtyard and steading, where you have kennels and dairy and horse stables and so on. And then beyond that, you've got something else. You've got the garden, the walled garden.
Beautiful.
And we're almost at what we see outside, if we step outside today.
It hasn't changed so much, 1851 to today.
But look at that compared with the multiple tenancy farm holding of 1742, and it's such a change, and this gradual change has been revealed by the various maps that I've put on the table.
Which is fantastic, to be able to look and see how it really evolved from the 16th century to here we are in the mid 19th century, and just within that sort of 200-year period, big change.
Absolutely, and this shows you the value of looking after estate plans of this kind.
Yeah.
They can tell you so much about the changing landscape.
Yeah, and to it'd be interesting to, if we are around 200 years from now, to see how that...
What's going to happen next?
What's going to happen next, Dabton?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you very, very much, Professor
gems.
Monroe. These are such gems. And again, I'm always fascinated with archives. And I know, of course, this is geography and geographical archives, which is so interesting. And to look at the detail of the drawings is fantastic. So thank you, thank you.
It's a pleasure, a pleasure.
Dabton House has such a wonderful and welcoming atmosphere, and I'm excited to be staying the night. Each of the 11 bedrooms bears the name of places associated with the Buccleuch family, including Bow Hill, Boughton, Dalkeith, and...
So I'm very excited to show you your room, Julie.
I cannot wait. Can I ask what the name of the room is?
Well, it's very apt. So we have you staying in Montagu.
I was hoping you were going to put me in this room. Oh my goodness. I love it. Oh, it's so bright and cheery. And I'm slightly obsessed with these curtains and the ticking. This is the Montagu room.
And large bathroom here. So this is actually my favourite room in the house.
Oh, mine too. There's a bath. Oh, I'm so happy. But of course there's a bath. I mean, we're in the UK. And but I've become sort of very Anglified, and having a bath is definitely something that this American has come to love. Wow, this is spectacular, absolutely spectacular. I love the colors that she's done. This sort of turquoise, it's really, it just plays well in this room, and the colors on the walls.
They're all bold colour schemes, but every room is unique and it fits what Elizabeth's done is just amazing. It's commented on by a lot of the guests that come and stay. They always take notes away, and they're always emailing me after they stay to say, oh, please send the colour schemes through, and where did you get that paint from? So
I know, I'm loving this paint colour. And I love the headboards there, I love the fabric. I love the view.
Lovely view, yes.
Lovely view. Fantastic view.
Well, I'll let you get settled in.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. This is so wonderful. I'm in Scotland. I'm in Scotland. And it is dreamy. Absolutely dreamy.
After enjoying the view from my Montagu bedroom, I met up with Alistair downstairs.
So this is the library.
It's beautiful. I love the wallpaper. It's wonderful. Look at all the books.
All the books have been put back, so they're all the family books.
Right.
So they wanted to make sure they stayed in the house to read and enjoy and relax. It's a very relaxing room, this. So.
It is, and you've got lovely light coming through these enormous windows here.
There is one book, quite a special book that I found when we were putting the collection back on the shelves. So I'd love to show you.
Okay.
But I need your help. So could you give me a hand moving this round?
Yeah.
And I'll show you in a second.
Pick it up.
Round, if you do that on the sides,
Oh,
because that one.
I see. Okay,
yes,
gotcha. Okay,
you
pick
found,
it up.
You found the secret.
Yeah. Well, something was moving there.
So, right, if we pop it here. And
okay. All right.
Magnificent old joinery.
What? No.
There we go. This is
They're library steps.
These are your library steps.
Oh my goodness. I want this. Do you know when this was made?
I don't, but,
No,
but it's, I mean, it's
What?
just a marvel of joinery.
Oh, okay, this is incredible.
There's a little book just on the shelf there with no other books on.
I mean, do we know what this is called? I want to search for this and try to find this in an antique sale. I actually want this. I'm serious. I have a Mony Room, an archive room, where I'm always grabbing, and I need some library steps, but it'd be much prettier if I had it in a desk. Okay, where am I going?
So there's a little book there just on its own shelf.
Yeah.
A tiny book there.
This is so fun. Strawberry Leaves and Syllabubs. I love that name.
So this is a recipe book that was compiled by Lady Jane, Walter's grandmother. But it's the only copy I've found.
Oh my gosh. It's her recipe book. So this would have been what, the early 20th century?
So, I mean, the recipes would be
Yeah,
years
much
and years
older, but
old,
so
I think, I mean, there'll be a date inside. It was...
So it was printed 1979, and she writes, some of the recipes in this book belong to my husband's family and some to my own. My grandmother's cook, Harriet, was apt to take 24 eggs and a quart of cream and throw away half. Alas, that I never knew her, and again was too young to discuss the niceties of food with our cook in China, the celebrated Ah Shu, who had a wonderful recipe for chicken a la king, which I have never found again. And then it says, she writes, all the modern recipes are the ones that we use now. We have had great fun in trying out some of the others, not, I hasten to say, those involving larks, herons, peacocks, swans, bluebirds, thrushes, or the tortoise. Oh, okay. And then she says it gave us an interesting insight into the food our ancestors ate every day. Wait, so they're really in here. There's recipes.
Absolutely.
There's what? So there's a tortoise recipe in here.
Well, I haven't found a tortoise. I think they've been left out.
Oh. Okay, rightfully so. Oh my goodness. So she's labeled it as fish. You've got oysters. Should we sit down?
Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, this is going to take a while, Alistair. Pheasant stuffed with oysters. That is fantastic. Now we're...
So you must read the caption at the bottom with this one. So, Lady Mary Coke. Many thanks to you for the woodcocks and eel. Nothing can be better. I eat above half of one of them last night for supper. Mrs. Younger said I should be sick, but I don't find it has disagreed with me.
It's so brilliant that she's always sort of put these anecdotes in there as well. A Worcestershire syllabub.
If in the field, only milk the cow into your cider, nutmeg, sugar, and so drink it warm.
So you basically just literally you're making your syllabub from the cow.
Absolutely.
I think you should remake every single recipe, photograph it, and then print the recipe book with photos as well. Because some of these are just so interesting, you'd want to see a photo behind it.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
A stay at Dabton House wouldn't be complete without a tour of the wonderful gardens, which are lovingly tended by the head gardener, John Candlish.
John, what a treat to come through the gardens here at Dabton House. So you are head gardener.
Yep, I am. I've been here for 40 years now. Sort of saw the garden develop over that time.
Yeah, you must have. So when you arrived 40 years ago, what was the shape of the gardens?
The garden was actually being used by the forestry for growing Christmas trees.
Okay.
So there was no garden.
There was no garden?
No.
So you arrive, you've got this blank slate.
Yeah.
And did you have an idea, or did it take some time to figure out kind of what you wanted to do?
It took time to discover what we were going to do with it. The family themselves had a lot of ideas for the garden.
The climate in Scotland You also have to look
very
at...
changeable.
Yeah. So you needed to look at that, presumably.
Yeah, because there's a lot of plants that aren't suited to this climate that just wouldn't grow here. A lot of the shrubs we have are
Right.
hardy, Weigelias, viburnums, things like that. They do really well here. A lot of other things, we have to take cuttings every year and keep them indoors during the winter,
Right.
and then replant during springtime again.
Okay.
So this is the rose garden, which was one of the places we did have a lot of problems with, because we were getting roses from down south they weren't doing up here.
Right.
We've had a lot of trial and error with different roses. I think now we've got ones that survive and do well
Right.
here.
So you planted the rose garden. You were sort of instrumental in...
Well, yeah, we were involved with,
Yeah.
with pretty much everything that's happened at Dabton, yeah.
Incredible. And is it wonderful to see it thrive now, 40 years on?
It's wonderful to walk around with people and get their views on it. I mean, it's nice to walk around on your own and just
Yeah.
think, well, I've been involved with this right from the start.
I know, so fun. And so what's behind this hedge here?
Behind the hedge is our vegetable garden. So,
Oh, no, that would interest me.
right, okay.
I mean, very, very much so. Oh my
so
goodness.
Beans, peas, onions, garlic, courgettes, potatoes, carrots, beetroot.
Oh my gosh. This is my dream right here.
So the idea is that produce that's coming out of the garden will be used in the house here.
So it's fun what Elizabeth and Walter have done to
Definitely.
basically create something that other people can enjoy, just like
Enjoy,
Walter
yeah.
enjoyed, in his childhood.
Yeah, very much
And it
so.
gives it energy. You know, it gives that, as you said, it's nice to have people
I think
here.
it's re-energised us as well, that, you know, people are coming in to see what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're re-energised with it as well.
Oh, that is wonderful. And then straight ahead,
Yeah.
with that greenhouse, what's in there? Should we head that way?
What is in there just now are a lot of shrubs we've propagated ourselves at Dabton. When we do garden tours, they're available for people to buy.
Right. So you're starting to do garden tours as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's quite exciting.
It
yeah.
is,
Yeah.
really, yeah.
Yeah. That is brilliant.
This bridge was built by 3 brothers who lived in Thornhill.
Oh, this is lovely. I mean, that looks fantastic, that bridge.
This bridge was something that the Duke and Duchess had saw when they were over in France. They took pictures.
I was about to say, I have a feeling it's come from somebody's travels,
Yeah.
right?
And they wanted an identical bridge
Wow.
at Dabton. So
I mean, it looks brand new and vibrant with that lovely sort of rich red color.
yeah,
Oh, what a treat to walk through here, and wonderful to know that, you know, those who come and stay are able to just
to use it,
experience, because
yeah.
of course they've got exclusive hire to the house, but they then have exclusive hire to the
the
gardens.
gardens, yeah.
And then they can come find you and ask loads
can,
of questions like I have.
yeah.
Spending time outdoors is an essential part of the Dabton House experience. The gardens and landscape here are breathtaking. But first,
Oh gosh,
So here we are in the boot room.
I love a good boot room, and this is one of the best I've ever seen.
It's fabulous. Great heating rail under here, so doubles up as a drying room as well. You see we've got all the waders, so if guests want to just nip out for an hour down the river fishing, then we can kit them up and take them straight out the door. So.
I mean, it is Scotland after all.
Yes,
Lots
absolutely.
of fishing. Okay, great. Should I grab my coat?
Yes, yeah.
And, oh my goodness. I mean, this is a proper boot room, and I love the color as well.
Alistair promised to give me a tour of the surrounding estate and to show me Morton Castle, which featured in Walter's grandfather's painting.
So here we are, Julie, Morton Castle.
What a ruin. Holy cow. So what's the history of this?
Well, very little is known about the origins of the castle. It is now part of the estate. It has its own history in its own right. It was its own county, effectively, at one point in history that wasn't associated with England or Scotland.
So what did this castle date back to?
13th century.
It's wonderful.
Now this gives you an impression of what it would have been used for. So this wasn't built as a defensive castle. This mirrors a lot of great halls. This was built as somewhere to party and have fun.
Honestly, Alistair, what a real treat to come and see this. But it's so peaceful all around Dabton House here at Morton Castle, apart from those lovely sheep that I can hear off in the distance.
And this, you know, people fall in love with ruins. I mean, this is one of the most popular attractions in this area.
Yeah.
But it's also because of the unknown about the history. So people in their mind make up their own tales about it.
You've got Dabton House where you can stay, you have Morton Castle, the ruin, and then you've got Drumlanrig as well on your doorstep.
And plenty of activities on the way.
Yeah, plenty of activities.
You can come fishing in the loch here as well, actually. So.
Oh, okay. I'm definitely coming back. I'm going to do a picnic here and fish over there and visit the castle as well.
Fabulous.
Thanks, Alistair. What
problem.
a treat.
My pleasure.
What a wonderful stay. It's been a dream, and I cannot wait to return to visit Drumlanrig Castle and explore more of the history of our Montagu cousins. Be sure to check out Stor Collection to book your exclusive stay here at Dabton House. Link in the description below, and don't forget to mention Julie to receive £1,000 discount on any stay of 5 nights or longer.
And Dabton House is way ahead of the times because they have 3 electric vehicle charge points. So if you come and stay here and drive in your electric vehicle, it's right outside the front.